I get my news from Google. I get news feeds every time I open up Google. I get articles on things that I'm interested in, and they just popped up not too long ago. And Gary and I were chatting, and we are like, "What the heck?" I think most of us knew this was going to happen. I mean, of course, every dentist I ever spoke to kind of could see the writing on the wall. I mean, this idea of, hey, a patient can become a dentist and do their own ortho, and create their beautiful smile. It just didn't make sense. And of course, many of our clients had horror stories they were dealing with. I mean, all these Smile Direct Club patients came to them once things went wrong, and they're like, "Please take care of us." So it was just a nightmare. So, anyways,
Yeah, it's really
Harry,
bad
let's
news. I mean, some dentists are thinking, well, that's great news. They failed, but in a broader context, it's bad news. It puts dentistry, in the media in a bad light. And I obviously did not think that Smile Direct Club was a good concept. What could possibly go wrong? Someone from the public doing their own orthodontics. What could go wrong? Does anyone hear the sarcasm in my voice? Who thought this was? What are we going to see next, Naren? Do-it-yourself vasectomies? I mean, sure. Well, why not? Yeah, we'll give you some instructions, and here's the anesthetic. Go do your own vasectomy. How about no? How about no? We're not doing that.
You're not signing up for that for sure.
Yeah, no one's signing up for that one, and no one should have signed up for Smile Direct Club.
Yes.
However, the mess is that hundreds of thousands of patients, I believe a main number even into the millions, are left hanging. What do they do? And kind of left hanging, and that's unfortunate, and unfortunate for the patient in terms of what happens from here. They kind of had their hopes for a beautiful straight smile dashed now because the company that provided that's no longer there. And of course, they're not providing any ongoing support because it's being liquidated. And, the shareholders of Smile Direct Club are just trying to come out of this, with something. So they're not providing any support. So it's just go to your dentist and figure it out. They're left on their own. And it's although one might think, well, this is good news for us, for the profession. It really isn't. It really puts dental care in a bad light. And it has a lot of people with, negative views of dentistry as opposed to a positive view, which we'd like to maintain. Of course, the media loves it because anything that's bad news, if it bleeds, it leads. Yes. So this will make the headlines and all the, 5 o'clock news. And they love bad news. So this is bad news and they love it. And they're taking every advantage of it to milk this thing as long as they can. But I started thinking about this, Naren. Yeah. And as I was thinking about it, I was on a morning run one day and I was thinking, Smile Direct Club failure. Yeah. And I started thinking about it. And really what Smile Direct Club is DIY. Do it yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Do it yourself. Hey, do it yourself. We'll send you all the instructions. We'll make it easy for you. Do it yourself. And you should be able to get the same result.
Yeah, half the price. And it because
there's kind of a trend for that, Naren, like with the proliferation of YouTube, like any, someone that is a do-it-yourselfer at home, like maybe they take pride in home improvement. And then all of a sudden they get a plumbing link, the kitchen sinks linking. So instead of calling a plumber, they go on YouTube and, find, fix my leaky sink. And they find 40,000 videos.
Yes.
Well, and they click on the first one and watch it. And it's kind of like, oh, I can do that. Never mind that they don't have the right tools. They don't have the expertise. They didn't know how to turn the water off.
Now there's a flood in the whole house.
Meanwhile, the whole house got flooded out. And this idea of doing it yourself didn't really pan out so well.
I knew this. I mean, this happened to me personally. Like during COVID, of course, we couldn't go see a hairdresser, right? And I have hair, so I had to cut my hair. So go to Google, and I'm like, how to cut your own hair? And then Google, there was a video, and there was a particular, do-it-yourself
set of shears,
set of shears, exactly. Yeah. So I go to Amazon, I bought it, and I did it. You know what happened? Like there was a hole in my head. So then
I think I remember that, Naren, because I remember you showing up to our Zoom meetings with the hat on for a while. That now explains why you had to have the hat on.
Yes.
Well, so I started thinking about this during my run. I started thinking, DIY is kind of a trend. And I guess there's certain things that kind of make sense DIY
No, I think
when the
for
stakes
me,
are low. Think about it now when the stakes are low.
yeah,
Like for example, let's say that your daughter um, fancies herself to have some artistic skills in decorating, and she
yeah,
wants to decorate her dorm room. Okay.
absolutely.
And she decides, I'm going to go to some Instagram accounts and people that are kind of known for stylish stuff, and I'm going to decorate my dorm room. And then
Like,
she does it. And if it doesn't come out the way she thinks, kind of the stakes are low.
yeah,
It's,
and like
it's like, no big deal.
I, I have a friend, tech entrepreneur. He sold his business. He needed something to do. He got into wood crafting, right? So he bought a bunch of stuff. He made his garage into his man cave for wood crafting, and he makes some unbelievable stuff. I mean, from what is that game that everybody's playing? Racquetball? Is it racquetball? Yeah. So he would make
No, it's paddleball.
paddleball. Yeah. So he made paddles for the paddleball game, and he
Right.
would make chairs and stools for speakers. And now he even has an Etsy shop, and he will sell them for $600
Yeah.
because he's got good at it. So I think
It can work.
if it's a hobby or a passion, I think DIY makes sense. Like, I love tinkering in my house. I don't, but I'm just saying if I did, and I'll do all the projects in the house. Oh, you put a deck, do
Yeah.
this. But I have to love it, right? If I don't love it, if I'm not good at it, then it's a
Yeah.
disaster.
But I think another criteria should be that consider the stakes. And if
Yeah.
the stakes are high, you may want to really think about whether DIY makes sense. And I
Very
started
good
thinking
point.
about this. I was on a long run that day and I started thinking about it. I thought, I need to share with our listeners of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast about a couple of case studies, a couple of clients that thought they could successfully resign from PPO plans on their own. They
Mm,
listen to the podcast, we provide lots of information, and they thought, I'm gonna give you two examples here today. I won't use the names, of course, for confidentiality,
yeah.
but I will share what happened. So, so as a solo dentist office, nice strong practice, and doctor been faithful listener of not only the Thriving Dentist Show but also Less Insurance Dependence, and she said, I'm just gonna do this on my own. I've got a good team here. I think we can do this. And the mistake that she made, and either it was a mistake in understanding, she didn't understand, or maybe it was a mistake in character where she was impatient. She decided, and all of you should know, if you're a regular listener to Less Insurance Dependence, should know not to do this, but she resigned from all of her plans at once. There were 10. And she said, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and resign from all of them at once. And instead of doing it, kind of in a measured way, learning as we go, building skills among the team, strengthening areas that were weak, and so on, she just said, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and go through it all at once. So, Naren, you're not a dentist practice owner, but you know better than that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the motherload of the mistakes. I mean, if you talk about DIY mistakes, this is like,
Right.
to me,
But she said, but I remember what you said so many times. When you do this right, you don't lose many patients. And so
yeah.
all she could hear was, you don't lose many patients when you do this. And so she resigned from all 10 of the plans. And with a predictable result. She had mass attrition in her practice. By the way, she also had no marketing in place to replace any people she might lose. Her losses were huge, higher by a multiple what in terms of what we normally see. I'm talking about like 15x what we normally see.
Wow.
15x. Um, and she ended up calling me sort of tail between her legs, kind of sheepishly, saying, Gary, I made a big mistake. And she told me what she did. And she said, that was 6 months ago. And she said, I'm now dealing with a schedule that literally looks like Swiss cheese. Not only I have two hygienists, their schedules are empty, and my schedule is empty. She said, I have patients today, but I don't have patients tomorrow. And this was a big, strong practice. Now, here's the good news in this. There is a good news. She became a client, and this now became a rebuilding effort. This was a rebuilding project to rebuild her practice. It had to be rebuilt. And unfortunately, she went through some lean times financially. She was fortunate that she had some savings and was able to tap into the savings, but financially it was a very trying time. She emerged on the outcome. It took over a year for us to rebuild the practice back to what it was before she resigned. And if you think about that lost income, that lost profitability in her practice would have paid our coaching fee many, many, many times over. Many
Probably like 10
over.
times over, 20 times over. Yeah.
Oh, it's a multiple of over 30
Oh, is
in
that
terms of what was lost. And it was sad. I mean, I was happy to help. And she was a great client, and partly because she said, I tried this on my own. I made a mess out of it. So please tell me what to do.
She became a good
And we did.
listener and good,
Yeah,
good,
became a very, very, very good
very
listener.
coachable client.
Yeah. Now, that's case study number one. Let me go to case study number two.